By June 1940, Hitler controlled every major nation in Europe. France had fallen, every ally Britain had was gone. Britain stood completely alone. Across the Channel, just 34 kilometers away, Germany was massing the largest invasion force Europe had ever seen. Operation Sea Lion, the invasion of Britain. Hitler's generals told him Britain could be invaded and conquered within weeks. There was just one problem: Germany had no way to cross the Channel safely, while the RAF still existed. The RAF stood between Hitler and total victory. Destroy the RAF and the Channel crossing became possible. Britain knew it. Germany knew it. Across southern England, RAF fighter squadrons waited at their airfields, the last line of defense for a nation that had run out of allies and options. The average age of an RAF fighter pilot in the Battle of Britain was 22 years old. Boys who had learned to fly just months before were now all that stood between Hitler and Britain. Britain did not know exactly when the attack would come, only that it was coming, and that when it did, nothing would ever be the same again. The Luftwaffe had 2,600 aircraft available for the battle. Battle-hardened, combat-proven, the most powerful air force in the world. The Messerschmitt 109 was among the finest fighter aircraft in the world, fast, maneuverable, and flown by pilots with years of combat experience over Spain, Poland, and France. The RAF had approximately 650 frontline fighters available, against 2,600 German aircraft, outnumbered 4-1 before a single shot had been fired. The Spitfire and Hurricane were outstanding aircraft, but numbers alone told a story that made every RAF commander's blood run cold. Britain had one critical advantage: Germany did not know how to counter radar, a chain of stations along the coast that could detect incoming German aircraft minutes before they crossed the Channel. The radar information fed into fighter command's operations rooms, allowing controllers to direct squadrons precisely where they were needed, wasting nothing, losing nothing unnecessarily. Everything was in place. The largest air force ever assembled on one side, an outnumbered but prepared defense on the other. The battle that would decide the fate of the free world was about to begin. On July 10, 1940, the Battle of Britain officially began. Germany's first target was British shipping in the Channel and the radar stations along the coast. The scramble order came without warning. Pilots had minutes to get airborne. Some days they scrambled 5 or 6 times before sunset. RAF squadrons climbed at full throttle to reach altitude before the German formations arrived. Every second of warning from the radar stations was precious and used. The radar stations tracked every German formation from the moment it left the French coast, giving Fighter Command the minutes that made the difference between survival and destruction. The dogfights were brutal and fast engagements lasting seconds, pilots pulling forces that caused them to black out, aircraft that were flying perfectly one moment gone the next. Pilots landed, refueled, rearmed, and took off again, sometimes 3 or 4 times in a single day. There was no rest. There was only the next scramble. Across southern England, civilians watched the battle above their heads, white contrails crisscrossing the summer sky, the sound of aircraft engines and distant gunfire drifting down from above. By August, Germany shifted strategy, targeting RAF airfields directly. The plan was simple: destroy the planes on the ground, destroy the pilots in the air, and the RAF would cease to exist. August 13th, Adlertag, Eagle Day. Germany launched its biggest attack yet, over 1,500 sorties in a single day, aimed at destroying the RAF completely. RAF airfields were hit again and again, runways cratered, hangars destroyed, fuel supplies hit, communications cut. Some airfields were attacked multiple times in a single day. Fighter Command's senior officer watched his plotting table one afternoon and turned to his aide. He said quietly, "All our squadrons are engaged. There is nothing left." By late August, the RAF was in serious trouble, losing pilots faster than they could be trained, losing aircraft faster than factories could replace them. The Germans were winning. Pilots were flying on 4 hours sleep. Some were falling asleep in their cockpits between sorties. Men who had been flying for 6 weeks straight were making fatal mistakes from pure exhaustion. Ground crews worked through every night, repairing, rearming, refueling, racing to have every possible aircraft ready before dawn brought the next German attack. In the 6 weeks between August 8th and September 6th, the RAF lost over 400 pilots killed or wounded. Britain was running out of the one thing that could not be replaced: trained men. By the first week of September, senior RAF commanders privately estimated they could hold on for perhaps 2 more weeks. After that, the RAF would effectively cease to exist as a fighting force. On September 7, 1940, Germany made a decision that would ultimately cost them the battle. Instead of continuing to destroy RAF airfields, they turned their bombers toward London. The London docks burned for 3 days without stopping. The fires were visible from the French coast. 2,000 Londoners were killed or wounded on the first night alone. Every morning, Londoners emerged from shelters to find their city changed, streets closed, buildings gone, familiar landmarks reduced to rubble overnight. Every night, tens of thousands of Londoners descended into the underground, sleeping on platforms and in tunnels, while the city above them burned. The Blitz continued for 57 consecutive nights, not one night without bombing. London was attacked every single night from September 7th until November 2nd. Anti-aircraft guns fired continuously through every night, rarely shooting down German bombers, but giving Londoners the psychological reassurance that Britain was fighting back. Every morning the city got up, cleared the rubble, and went to work. Factories kept producing. Buses ran around the craters. The city refused to stop functioning. Germany had gambled that bombing London would break British morale and force surrender. They had miscalculated completely, and in doing so they had given the RAF the time it desperately needed. September 15, 1940, Battle of Britain Day. Germany launched its largest attack of the entire battle. Over 1,000 aircraft in multiple waves. The RAF scrambled everything it had. Fighter Command scrambled every available squadron simultaneously for the first time in the battle. RAF fighters met the German formations in strength before they reached their targets. The aerial battles of September 15th covered the entire sky above southern England, a dogfight spanning hundreds of kilometers, dozens of separate engagements happening simultaneously. German bomber formations that had crossed the Channel in perfect order began breaking apart under the ferocity of the RAF response, releasing bombs early, turning back before reaching targets, the attack losing coherence under relentless pressure. By afternoon, the German formations were retreating back to France, battered, disorganized, and having failed to destroy their targets. 60 German aircraft had been shot down. The RAF had held. In German headquarters that evening, the casualty reports made grim reading. The RAF that was supposed to be destroyed had met them with more fighters than at any point in the battle. Something had gone fundamentally wrong. On September 17th, 2 days after Battle of Britain Day, Operation Sea Lion was postponed indefinitely. Hitler had accepted what his air force could not deliver: the destruction of the RAF. The invasion of Britain was abandoned. The daylight battle for air superiority was over. Britain had not been defeated. The invasion had been called off. For the first time since 1939, Hitler had been stopped. Britain had survived, the only nation in Europe that Hitler had failed to conquer. The island that refused to fall even when completely alone, even when outnumbered 4-1 in the air above it. The pilots who had fought the battle returned to something approaching normal life, except that nothing about what they had experienced was normal. Of the 3,000 who flew, 544 had been killed. The RAF Battle of Britain Memorial bears the names of every pilot who died in the battle from Britain, from Poland, from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Czechoslovakia, and beyond. Pilots from 15 nations flew for Britain in its darkest hour. Every summer, Spitfires still fly over Britain, the sound of the Merlin engine carrying the memory of the summer, when everything hung in the balance and the few held the line. The airfields of southern England still exist: Biggin Hill, Tangmere, Hawking. The ground from which the battle was fought, preserved and remembered, the grass unchanged from the summer of 1940. If Britain had fallen in 1940, there would have been no base for the American military in Europe, no D-Day, no liberation of the continent. The Europe that exists today was made possible in part by what happened in the skies above southern England in the summer of 1940. The Battle of Britain lasted 114 days. 544 pilots died, and the world they saved is the world we still live in today.